Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? It's time for the start of another series. How much to keep is over. Now we move to free agency, by which I mean open free agency, when everybody can sign with anybody. So I talked about addressing our needs via re signing our outgoing free agents, but we're not going to be able to address all of our needs that way. So we do have to look towards open free agency. And we're going to do things in a somewhat similar manner to how we did things in How Much to Keep. We're going to make several passes through our roster, and we're going to talk about the positions of need and how we might address those needs. So, we're going to start with the positions where I consider the need to be large, where if we don't address it, it's going to be ugly in 2022. So, we're going to go through the roster once for positions of that level of need, and then we're going to go back through for the positions of more moderate need, maybe even minor need. I think you guys probably have a pretty good idea of how we're going to do this. So we're going to start with running back because to me, there are six positions on the 2022 Seahawks that, as of right now, are very, very needy. And I think running back is the first. Not the biggest, but the first. So we're going to take a look at the upcoming free agent running backs and try to figure out who makes sense and what we're going to have to spend to potentially bring them in. So right off the bat, I'll say this. We need running backs for sure, but this isn't an area where I'm looking to break the bank. You don't need to break the bank at running back. History has shown that you can find guys in the fifth, sixth, seventh round of the draft, even UDFA, all the time. So I am definitely looking at the draft to address our running back need, but I also want to take a look at some of these veterans and see if they can supplement things. Because I do want to bring Penny back. I do want to part ways with Chris Carson for multiple reasons. And I'm happy with what Travis Homer and DJ Dallas bring to the table. They do all right. But you need more. You definitely need more. And you don't just need complimentary guys. You need guys who can potentially be a workhorse for you. Because I already have complimentary guys in Homer and DJ. And Penny, we'll see if his body allows him to be more than a complimentary guy. But I need more. So we're going to take a look at this list of upcoming free agents. I believe the first day of free agency will be March 16th this year. And we'll try to get a feel for how much they're going to cost. So the list is here, and obviously everybody who looks at this list is going to have a different take on who they would rather go for. But I've got four guys that I want to take a look at here. And the reason why that's such a few number is I'm trying to stay away from running backs who are 29 or older when the 2022 season kicks off. So no disrespect to Melvin Gordon. He's a good player. He had a good season in 2021, but he's going to be 29. I'm not interested in that. David Johnson's 30 already. No, thank you. A lot of these guys, Cordarrelle Patterson's about to be 31. Raheem Mostert's about to be 30. Now, a guy like Raheem Mostert's a little more manageable because he doesn't have a ton of miles on his body. But when it comes to running backs, you really don't want to be paying them any kind of money once they get past, I would say, 29. It used to be 31, then it was 30. Now I feel like it's 29 because there's just no need to. So right away, if you're looking at this list and you see a guy who is going to be 29 or older when the season starts, that's not somebody I want to invest in because, again, I'm looking for guys who could potentially be a workhorse because I have running backs that I like, but I don't know if any of them can be a workhorse. Rashad Penny, we'll see. I don't know if he's that guy. He looked like it at the end of the season, but that's a small sample size. And Travis Homer is certainly no workhorse, and there's no guarantee that a rookie you get in the draft is going to be able to do it. So I'm looking for guys who could potentially carry the load for 25 plus touches a game, and it can work. So I'll give you guys my favorite running back in this free agency class. It's Marlon Mack. He's down here of the Colts. He's about to turn 26, and he's basically taken the last 2 years off. So if you look at Marlon Mack's career stat line, in 2017, he came onto the scene and played pretty well. As a rookie, he had close to 600 all-purpose yards. 2018, he exploded a little bit. 900 yards on the ground, 4.7 yards a carry, 100 yards receiving, so 1,000 yards from scrimmage. 2019 continued, almost 1,100 yards on the ground. Not much of a receiver, but that's something that we can live with in this offense, I think, because I do believe that Penny and, of course, Homer are going to be able to provide that in pretty decent amounts. So, anyway, after 2019, when he looked like he was an up-and-coming stud running back, it fell out. Over the last 2 years, Marlon Mack has less than 150 yards from scrimmage and no touchdowns. He's played in 7 games. So he did get injured, which is obviously a red flag, but I don't get the sense that Marlon Mack is a guy who can't stay healthy in the way that Carson can't stay healthy. I get the sense that he kind of had one big fluke injury that completely derailed his career, because in 2020 the Colts had drafted Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor completely took over that offense and became one of the best running backs in the league. And when Marlon Mack came back, he also had to deal with Nyheim Hines, one of the best third down backs in the league. So there was literally nothing for him to do but pick up garbage yards. So Marlon Mack is a guy who is young and he doesn't have a lot of miles. Like, the only season in his career where he had over 250 touches was 2019. For his career, he has about 650 touches. So this is a guy who has something left, I think. So Mack is my favorite. I think that you could bring him in if he's just going to be a complimentary guy the way he was maybe in like 2018, then that's cool. But if you need him to be your workhorse, he's shown that he can do that. And I don't feel like these last 2 years are a reflection of Marlon Mack suddenly being a bad player. I think he got unlucky and his job got taken from him by a genuine stud in Jonathan Taylor. So Marlon Mack's likely free agency contract is estimated by Spotrac to be 2 years, $5 million. So $2.5 million a year. That's very reasonable. So you could give him 2 years, $5 million. The first year would be about $2 million against the cap, and you're getting a guy who has proven that he can play very well in the NFL, and you've got him locked up for that extra year if he does reemerge as a capable running back. And this price is such that you don't really have to worry about it if he ends up not being able to play that well for you. It'll probably be a contract that's easy to get out of that second year anyway. So there's very little risk involved. If Marlon Mack truly is not worthy of being on an NFL team anymore because that injury just robbed him of his ability, but then you can deal with that. But I don't think that's the case. I think Marlon Mack still has something left. So I'll say it right here, right now. If you go into 2022 with a running back stable of Rashad Penny, Marlon Mack, Rookie X, Travis Homer with maybe DJ Dallas hanging around a little bit, I think that has a real chance to be good. That could be great. That actually makes me feel like we've insured ourselves fairly well in a way that we didn't even manage to do last year. Okay, so the next guy I want to talk about here, the other guy who I would be willing to take a shot at would be Phillip Lindsay. I've always liked this guy, but the last couple years have been rough for him. He's about to turn 28 before the season starts. I think he's going to turn 28 right before the season starts, so age is not a big concern, nor is the load on his body. If you take a look at his stats, obviously his career got off to a great start. He ran for 1,000 yards his first 2 years, including a 5.4 yard per carry average his rookie year, made the Pro Bowl. Decent receiver out of the backfield. He had 70 combined catches over these 2 years. And then in 2020, he just started getting less carries. He was a little less productive and efficient. And then in 2021, Denver moved on from him. He went to Houston and did basically nothing. He went to Miami and did basically nothing. So for the last 2 years, he's been relatively anonymous. He has less than 900 yards from scrimmage over the last 2 years. but I don't get the sense that this guy is suddenly bad. And if you take a look at the workload he's had in his career, we're talking about 700 touches in his NFL career, and over the last 2 years, it's like 230 ish, about 230. So he should be pretty fresh. Now, obviously, in 2021, he was pretty useless, and there were opportunities for him to play, and he just didn't produce. But it hasn't exactly been the cleanest of situations for him. He's played on a Houston team that was basically just wasting time in 2021. So I don't know how much you can hold what players do on the Texans right now, because that's truly a rudderless franchise. And I feel like there's some talent here that might go well. He's even a good pass catcher potentially, which I think could play significantly into... I don't think it's necessary because we have Homer and Penny, and I think those guys can do it, but if it's something that you can do as a player, then of course I'm not going to turn it down. So Phillip Lindsay's my second favorite free agent running back, and if we brought him in, I think that would be a pretty reasonable fit, and he would probably cost somewhere around 1 year, $2.5 million, same as Mack. Lindsay, he's a little bit more of a name, so maybe you're looking at like 1 year, $3 million or $3.5 million, but it's not going to be too much, so I'm not really worried about the cost. And again, if you bring in Phillip Lindsay and he can't do it, then the money's not going to be the issue. The issue is going to be how are you going to replace his theorized production, which there are going to be ways to do that when the season starts. But the money for these two guys is not going to be a concern, which is, of course, a positive. Can't say the same for these next two guys. Okay, so the last two guys I'm going to go over here are guys that I'm not really crazy about, but we got to talk about them, because a lot of Seahawks fans are going to be talking about them, and it's not unreasonable to do so. But these guys are going to cost more. These guys are going to need longer-term contracts, and I'm not sold. First is Leonard Fournette, who's going to be 27 this season, and I'm going to say it right here, right now. I don't know how good Leonard Fournette is. I've never really been that impressed by him. Obviously, he has tremendous draft pedigree. He has a reputation as being a great running back, but I'm just looking at it, and okay, in 2019, he had over 1,100 yards, 4.3 yards a carry for a pretty bad Jacksonville team, and he caught 76 passes. Okay, that's good, but after that season, the Jaguars basically tried to give him away, and nobody bit. All anybody would have had to do is give up, pay him like $4 million, and nobody bit. That put my radar up. And these first two seasons where he did develop a little bit of a reputation as being a good player, 3.9 yards a carry, 3.3 yards a carry. You know who it reminds me of? It reminds me of like Eddie George back in the day, where he would run incredibly inefficiently, but people would think he was good because he runs tough. Yeah, he runs tough for that, 3.4 yards a carry most of the time. But yeah, he runs tough. I'll give him that. And then these last 2 years, he went to Tampa Bay, got to play on a super team, life on easy mode, with Brady, Gronk, Evans, Godwin, AB, Arians, great offensive line. And honestly, he didn't do much of anything in 2020 until the playoffs. He put together a good playoff run. And then in 2021, he was good. Again, life on easy mode. But hey, over 1,200 yards from scrimmage, 10 touchdowns, 4.5 yards a carry. Good season, but I'm not convinced he's going to replicate those numbers when he goes to another team that isn't a super team like the Bucs were. He also has missed at least one game and quite frequently misses several games a season, so it's not like he's known for his durability. He is talented, but I don't know if you're going to see the drive to succeed once he gets paid. And by the way, I expect him to get paid because he took a discount last year to stay in Tampa Bay to try to win another Super Bowl, but now he actually had a big statistical season, so he's going to get something. Spotrac estimates 2 years, $12 million. That's when I start to get a little uncomfortable with the price tag. So if Fournette is cheaper than this, if he's like around $4 million a year, then maybe $6 million, I kind of walk away. Okay, the final guy we're going to talk about is kind of in the same boat for me, but maybe not quite as stark. James Conner, about to turn 27, had a good year in Arizona. He looked like he looked different for me when he was in Arizona. I don't know if it was just the jersey, but he looked a little more lean in Arizona compared to Pittsburgh. Watching him play, I was more impressed with him in Arizona than I was in Pittsburgh, but to my surprise, when I went to go look at the numbers here, 3.7 yards a carry for the Cardinals this year. He was good out of the backfield. He is a good receiver. Over his career, he's been a very productive receiver. But I don't know. This might be another guy where you're paying for reputation, paying for the name, because James Conner developed a little bit of a name for himself while he was in Pittsburgh. He's made 2 Pro Bowls. He had almost 1,500-yard season in 2018 with Pittsburgh in only 13 games. But I'm looking at a guy who isn't exactly efficient. Like I said, 3.7 yards a carry in Arizona last year, playing in all but 2 games. I know he got injured near the end of the year and that affected him, but I don't know what I think of James Conner, really. Well, when I say that, I mean, I don't know how good I think he is. Obviously, I watched him play last year and I was impressed, but like most of that Cardinals team, it seemed like things kind of fell apart at the end. I don't know if that's just because Conner was playing through injuries, because obviously he missed a couple games last year. But I don't know. This might be another kind of Fournette guy where you're paying more for the name rather than the production. Because other than being a really good pass catcher, it's not like his production the last 3 years has been over the top. He's averaging about 4 yards a carry over the last 3 years total. So, And Spotrac thinks you're going to have to pay to get him. Spotrac says 2 years, $12 million, so about $6 million a year. And I like him, but that's getting to a price point where if you get him and he doesn't work out, that actually kind of stings. So I'm not super high on this one, not crazy about it. But if the price tag here is high and he's more around like 3 to 4 million, then I'm a little more interested. So those are my guys. I like Marlon Mack the most, really like him. Phillip Lindsay is also pretty good. Fournette and Conner for me are both kind of, it depends on the price because I'm not convinced. And there are other guys here who would be okay. Like, again, no knock to Melvin Gordon. Cordarrelle Patterson would be fun. Mostert's good. Sony Michel would be kind of interesting. But I think those 4 guys stand out. So let me know what you guys think down below. See you guys later. Go Hawks. That's the running back position for me.